okay, so we went into the show. I'm a big Dragon Ball fan. I've watched all the series. I watched, Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Super, GT, everything. Played the majority of the games. She's watched Abridged. And so we went into that. With that being said, we went into it very open-minded. There wasn't really
Very
much.
knowledgeable
Yeah. Well, I
on
mean,
Dragon Ball.
to be honest, I don't really think that there was much like into this series besides like I don't know who it's for. Kids, maybe. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't
Yeah, I'm
know.
also a little confused about that.
Yeah, I don't know who's it for, but it's here and we got it. So, we watched the first episode, and you know what? The first episode was like very recappy, but like you never even saw the Boo saga, so this was all new information to you. Um, but as somebody who's watched this since I was like 7 years old, I was like, oh, I know everything that's happening. What I did like in the recap though is that they reshaded some of the scenes and it did look they reanimated like a couple of them, and I thought that it was cool that they stayed true to how that animation looked back then and they didn't try to change it to how it looks like now. And I thought that was like a kind of a cool like callback because the director or the art design director of this show is the person who did the majority of the Boo saga. So it's kind of cool that they got to, come back and kind of do that sort of thing. Uh, but for the most part, like the story is, just uh, we're finding out what happens after Deborah, who used to be the Demon King, is killed by Boo, and then we find out that this like little mushroom-looking dude, Goma, is who was also a Majin apparently, is taking over as the king, and that's how like the first episode kind of ends. And like I wasn't super enthralled with the show with the first episode. I thought it was very like I don't know how I feel about the animation. Like, how do you feel about how it looks? Like, just for the first episode specifically. No, it was only like 15 episodes or 15 like minutes or so of new information. What did you think of it?
So I am aware that it was like for the most part like majority a recap. Um I knew like bits and pieces of what happens just from being around people that like Dragon Ball or are very knowledgeable of Dragon Ball. Um but as somebody that's never like watched it, um it I didn't feel like I was missing anything, which was nice. I felt like I could go into it like knowing as much for the most part as like everyone
Yeah.
else. Um, I like I did like the animation though. Like I felt that it was pretty smooth. I liked that it felt like fresher. It was like very bright. Um, and because they're all like turned into children, it makes me feel like the show is geared more towards children because like to me like in my opinion like a lot of shows that are showing characters as like chibi versions of themselves or like that of the like seem to be geared more towards younger audiences. So that makes me wonder where this is gonna go.
Yeah.
um I also felt like the opening was very like
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think
watching
about
a
the opening.
kids show.
Well, they didn't have the opening in the first episode, so we weren't even like we didn't even know what it was. And then the second episode hit. Man, that opening sucks. I mean, okay,
I
okay,
think
this
the
is
animation's cute. I like the animation. I
yeah.
just don't like the song.
Yeah, this might be a hot take because it's not maybe not a hot take. Like there are some Dragon Ball openings that I feel like are, current that will be like, yeah, like My Hero or like JJK or whatever, they'll have that like upbeat sort of like Japanese like rock type of feel to it. Like, but some of like Dragon Ball Super's intros were like oh, like your dad chose this, you know? Like this is like your dad's like 80s like rock.
Okay, but like I like
Not your
dad
dad, but
rock.
like
So
well, essentially this song is essentially how their version of like, you know, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, chameleon. This is their like version of like that type of music. So like, and I don't even know what the song's called. I don't even know what it is, but I do know like arrows of that type of thing. That's how it kind of sounds. That's kind of how the first Dragon Ball Super one kind of felt to me. It was like it's very, I don't know, it's just not that upbeat. I like the last Dragon Ball Super intro. But anyway, yeah, the intro song just wasn't killing it. The outro song wasn't that bad. I did like
Oh.
the I like the animation. I always think they kill it with the intro stuff. They know how to make highlights of their stuff. But so I guess we could talk a little bit more about some of the characters. Like we haven't seen Gohan yet. We've seen Goten. We've seen basically the entire cast besides Videl and Gohan for some reason. We have Shin. We have along with Goma, we have Degasu, and then we meet like this old um uh Namek, and I don't remember what his name is right now,
Yeah,
uh
me neither.
but we meet like an old Namek who's just hanging around, and we find out about the demon realm a little bit. See, this is what I get. Like, I don't know if it's for kids or I mean, like, I think the animation's for kids, but I think some of the lore that's being, and I feel like the story, not that it's saying it's like a super advanced story that we're gonna be like, describing how depressed the Goku will get. Like, we're never gonna get that, but it almost like is kind of cool with the lore drops with talking about how Namekians did come from the demon realm. And I think that's that because so I know you won't know this, but for anybody who hasn't watched Dragon Ball Z, Piccolo's dad is Demon King Piccolo, right? And for the longest time, it was like, why was a Namekian who was supposedly an alien on Earth, which is what we find out in the beginning of Dragon Ball Z with Piccolo and Rad's talking with him about that. But though his question was like, okay, well, his dad was called Demon King Piccolo. I thought he was a demon. Like that was weird. So now we find out that like no, the Namekians did come from the demon realm, and anybody who has like pointy ears is a demon. So it's like it kind of opens your eyes a little bit to like different characters. Like I'm gonna talk a little bit about Sparking Zero like later, but there's a character like Tapion who's in only like movie canon only, and he has like pointy ears, and I was like, oh shit, that's kind of cool because then that kind of connects back to some of the powers that he has and why he has like a demon inside of him. And you're like, what the fuck? But and anyway, like I think that's actually pretty cool that they dropped that sort of lore along with there being like supreme kais of the demon realm, like Degasu being Shin's brother. I think that's like I don't know if it's like top tier information that somebody would be like, oh yeah, can't wait to hear more about the demon realm and all that kind of shit. But at the same time, um, where this lands in the timeline, it's between Super and the end of the Boo saga. It's like I don't know, nobody really knows fully what was going down during that time segment. So, here we are, and this is the information that they're giving us. But yeah, everyone turns into kids. They're all like Goku and Shin end the first episode by going to the demon realm, and we get to find
Mhm.
out like, oh yeah, also the Degasu and Goma steal Dende because Dende turns into a baby. So now they stole
That
they stole
little
little
green,
green.
little green.
But yeah, I mean that's kind of it. That's what I mean. There wasn't like much. There's not like much there
Hmm.
in terms of like story. We are only like what 45 minutes into a new series. We're not really gonna get all that much, but I think the Demon Realm stuff's cool. I think the animation looks dope. I think the color.
Hmm.
I will need to see how the fights look
Yeah, I think so too. Hmm.
like before I fully like can call this like really good Dragon Ball series. I mean, they've had like web series before. I think it was like Dragon Ball Super Heroes, something like that. It was like an online thing where the story was null. There was no story there. It was just people fighting. And it was just every character you could think of. It was actually pretty cool. It was like every video game except in animated form, and every character you could think of. And they had like some guy named Cucumber, and he was a sick like character. It was zero storyline, but everyone fought, and it was pretty cool. Um, Like that's what I'm saying. Like they could put out random shit that's like, all right, fine, I'll eat it. Like this one is this might just be one of those like, all right, whatever. I'll just eat it on up. But yeah, that's Dragon Ball Daima. Did you have any other like little thoughts there for it?
I think like for me, like it does definitely have that like potential. I think like Dragon Ball is so known for its fight scenes and just like for fighting in general that I think it does kind of depend on how they're going to have that play out, especially because they're so small. I did
Yeah.
like seeing that little like Gohan, not Gohan, Goku training moment where he was like trying to get used to his body.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cute. I just think that it's cute. And I don't know if that's the vibe they want to give off. So we'll
I
have to
think
see.
so. Honestly, I think so. It's just there's so much like space in the Dragon Ball realm to like add in something like this that it's like who cares? Honestly, if it ends up being like absolutely trash, it's like well, they were just little, who cares? You know, like it doesn't really
They were
no.
kids.
Yeah, like no one's really gonna like go and yeah. I've watched some TikTokers actually react to like Dragon Ball Daima, and people are like, you'll have one side that are treating it just like, oh, it's fun that we're getting more Dragon Ball stuff. It's cool that we're getting to see like
Mhm.
Akira Toriyama's like final,
Yeah, that
write
is really
off,
cool. Hmm.
and I'm on that side. I'm totally on that side.
Yeah, it's really
But there
cool.
are still people who are like, what the fuck is this? Like, why are they making this type of shit? And like, I kind of get that too. I kind
Yeah.
of do too. As an almost 30-year-old man, like watching like Dragon Ball for my entire life, it's like you'd think at some point they would just go back to making it, a little bit more gritty, like kind of like a
Hmm.
JJK in a way, like, how we have more hard-hitting characters and you don't even got to tell the story of Goku if you don't want to tarnish that like, that character. You have plenty of characters like Trunks who can tell a very empathetic story that can dig into how much the Future Saga sucks, and you could tell that story and have it be gritty while it's still holding true to it being a Dragon Ball show instead of giving us like we're kind of just forced to fucking watch a kid show in a way. Not forced. No one's holding a gun to my head. No one's telling me you gotta watch it, but it's like I'm going to, you know.
I
Yeah,
do like see that side of like being like what the fuck is this? But I think I would agree more with that if Akira Toriyama didn't work on it. Because then it would just be like a take this, eat it, as opposed to like,
yeah.
I've been working on this. This is kind of fun. Here, you know?
Yeah, I get it. Like, we'll see how what goes on like in the future with the show. Um, if it gets really bad, like we'll see if we drop it or not. This is the show where I'm definitely like I'll watch it, but I won't want to talk about it if it's bad. But like we'll see how it goes. Right now, for me, it's like it has me intrigued about where they're going with the story. And like that's all you can really ask from a show at the end of the day. It's not boring. It's not making me dread continuously watching it. But yeah, do you have anything else on it? All right. Well, what do you guys think about Dragon Ball Daima? Let us know in the comments below.